What's up, guys? Team Kuribandit back with another deck profile today, and we are with...
It's Velle, whooping ass for charity.
Hey, and what'd you do today?
I got first place in the charity event today.
All right. What'd you play?
I played Bird Stuff.
Bird Stuff.
Yeah, Bird Stuff. Bird Up is a dumbass name. My build's a little different. The plan actually today was to go second, but I played against all go second things. So I had to go first. And so,
Let's get into it.
Was able to take over the win. But, I'll show you the standard stuff first. So you got 3 Warbler. It's honestly, it's like the best card in your deck. It gets you to the best card in your deck. It's kind of like when you play Madolche's. Who Cake's really the best card in the deck?
Yeah.
But in these other cards, this is the same way. This is probably literally the best searcher in your deck. It's a Rota that gets you the more Rotas, that gets you the more Rotas. And then special summon named Marauding Captain. I was playing 3, then I had to cut some stuff to make some room. Same thing for here. This card is broken. You always want at least 1 in rotation, because even an average board with a couple of bounces in the negate is usually enough. Going first, going second is just Zeus. Easy Zeus. It's a Rota with the Zeus because you normally summon back the Cobalt. Wagtail because I only own 1. This card's broken, but you really don't need more than 2 at max. Once you get Bird Call in the rotation, the game's usually in your favor. The resource loop is there, and your opponent can just never come out. Then for the Tri-Brigades, we played 3 Nurgle. He's a Wing Beast. 3 Fractals because he's Foolish Burial. 2 Kuros in the kit. I was on 3 and 2, but I took out the Rendezvous and a couple other cards. So this works out. You really don't need it past like turn 1 and then mid game. The game grinds out that long. And then the barrier statue, these are moored. These are the 2 targets. I don't know why people don't play this. They say it's a win more card, but sometimes it's better to win more than to lose. So worst case scenario, if I go Robin with this, and they deal with this, Robin still gives me a follow-up with Zeus. Doing this, they can just chalice it. If it bounced for cost, it'd be way better, but because it doesn't bounce for cost, it's still kind of susceptible to stuff like that. So, I'll like that.
FTK cards.
Then I played some cards. I played the Ancient Warrior because my strategy was to go second today. He's a wing beast, a lot of levels. You kind of see where this is going, but he also has a neat effect where he can pop a card. So I think he pops some monsters. Yeah, you can just target 1 monster on the field and destroy it. Also, randomly, you can hard make the Ancient Warriors win. So, there's that. Another thing I played, because I was going seconds, was Kaiju. So I played 2 Godarlas, 1 Gamma Seal, 1 Spider-Man. So, Godarla serves 2 purposes in the deck. The Kaijus, these are just, DPEs are like, the card isn't fun to deal with, but also like, moving 1 card for this deck is usually enough just to win the game. And then there's some plays with Ancient Warrior where you can kind of Kaiju, then bounce back with Ancient Warrior, and then Kaiju again before you run over it. So there's some neat things. I also played hand traps, but not too many this time. 2 Nib, because this format I think you need it. Going up to 3 would probably be good. 2 Velle, I didn't draw them all day, but in every other event I ever played, these cards come up. I didn't play against Sword Soul today, so these cards come there. And then Crow is like a combo piece. I wasn't playing it until like an hour before we came because it also outs DPE. Any way you deal with DPE or Scythe in this deck is good for you. And then imperms are hand traps too. So
Sounds good.
Now we're finally off of monsters. Let's get to the spells and traps. Pretty easy. I played 2 Small World, not 3. I really don't think the card is good particularly for this deck, in the sense that you can resolve it. It's a minus. The deck can play with more, but you side it out like game 2, game 3, and if your hand's already strong enough, it's just there. So really depends on how strong your hand is. If your hand isn't if your hand is weak, this card is fantastic because it makes your hand strong. But if your hand is strong, then it doesn't do anything, and it's just like a brick.
Makes sense.
Playing these three, because I know a lot of people play the level 4 guy. I don't really care about searching Fractal or ever searching my Tri-Brigades, but you can do it. You can go from a bird to a Tri-Brigade this way, because this and your, what's his name? Fractal? Yeah, this and Fractal. The only thing they share is being Beast Warriors. And then this bridges to any bird. So you can literally go from any wind monster to any bird. So you can go from Droll through Gadara to another bird. Because he's an insect wind, he has more levels, he's stronger than everybody on all stats. So that's why he serves a dual purpose.
Seems pretty solid.
So, I mean, it was cool for me today. Oh, I did play one sword, so I lied. I did play one sword, so I won. Then we get back to the spells. You know, just the consistency cards.
Card's busted.
This card isn't good in the mirror match, but we're going second. So a lot of the times with these, they essentially let you craft your hand, right? So even if you don't want the Warbler, like, obviously you reveal the Warbler because your opponent's going to pick it. Yeah. It's just what it is. But whatever you pick, it doesn't matter because Bird Call and War Archdale just adds the rest of the pieces. So this deck loses super hard to draw, and there's nothing we can do about it. You can play Cross-Out Designator, and there is some space. There are some spots I'm going to drop, and I'll talk about that. And then you got Tinky, 1-for-1. And we have two more. We have two challenges. This card was crazy. I didn't play Dropless today, simply because there's not a whole lot of reason to need Dropless in this deck. You can play it just as a win more card. Like I said, there are a couple cards you can cut if you want to play them all, but you don't want too many monster negates. Then what do? Chalice has a few more applicable tricks, and your opponent, if you get it, I'm hurt a lot less if my opponent is on this and they cross this out versus whether they cross out Dropless, because I just minus like 3-4 cards. Yeah. Then in deck Raigekis that summon 2 monsters are pretty good. This card is, because most decks right now are putting up just monster negates. Even against DPE Striker, this is cute because you force them to activate cards. A lot of times what they'll do to make sure their spells are on is they'll DPE their own extra deck monster to try to turn off Slumber, because it has to destroy something to resolve. And so that's usually fine. Some players will just let it resolve and they think they can play through with the DPE. But a lot of times you can just do this and then Zeus your opponent because you just go into Nightingale. Yeah. Then we got some draw cards, Desires, Tactics, and then a card from Brothers that's broken for this deck, Ring Requital. So what it says is if you control only Wing Beast, and they have different names, then you can draw 2 cards by giving up 600 life points.
This is pretty good.
So Pot of Greed. I got full combo plus Pot of Greed. Sweet. And then another spicy card that I'll continue to play in the deck because it's pretty good. Because it's called Summon Storm. These are all from Brothers. But what Summon Storm does to save y'all from reading, when you activate it, because I think you have to give up life points for this too. Yeah, you give up 800 life points. So these cards pay life points. So usually you side them out going, like the closer you get to time. But what this does is let you summon a wind monster from your hand for free. I mean, not for free, but for 800 life points. So when you have hands where you open Cobalt and you don't have a way to get them out, this works. And then on the follow-up turn, except the turn it was sent, you can banish it from graveyard and special summon a bird from your hand. This has some applications in decks like Speed Royals and deck nobody plays. And then the worst card in my deck. I thought it was cute at the last second. I was like, ooh, look at this terrible card. I have 59 cards in my deck, and I want to play 60. So I was like, what does this do? We get into a grind game. you can target 2 of your recitals and then put them back in the extra deck and then bounce a card on field. It loses hard to like DD Crow and stuff like that. This card was awful. I drew it once. I was already like losing that game because I just did not combo. They had good cards. I did not. So
You'd rather draw it than a normal vanilla, though.
yeah, like honestly, like it could have just been a third one of these.
Yeah.
And you just continue to do what you're gonna do. This deck loses to draw, like I said. So it's like Call by the Grave cards like that come in. You could take Jack in the Hand out if you want to. That's kind of like your personal flavors. But
Yeah.
the deck was super solid because I'm just more consistent. Because even though I'm playing 60 cards, my whole deck is just Rhoda. So if you could play Rhoda every time you played a card, that's what you would do, right? So it's like playing Upstart Goblet 1,000 times. It's just nice. The extra deck, we have Link Karibo, Harpy Conductor, Baron Blossom, Ancient Warrior. So this over, you play 1 kit, man, and you're playing a level 1 deck.
Yeah.
Why would you like even worry about like playing All Mirage?
Yeah.
There's not enough incentive to do so. This card, even if you open up a bird, like you open up Canary plus Cobalt, this gives you Link Karibo and Ensemble Blue Robin with protection. So you get at least 2 bounces, depends on what the rest of your hand is. You can get at least 2 bounces. You can also end on like F-Zero or Robin. It just depends. But if your hand is weak, this is much better than opening up All Mirage, just because it adds a layer of protection. We're not really worried about cards like Lightning Storm, stuff like that. If you get Dark Rulers, you get Dark Ruler. There's nothing you can do about it.
It is what it is.
I wish I could play 2 of these. There's just not room. I played 2 of these. Just won me my matchup against Mech Knights. Just lets you OTK. 1 is part of the combo, because sometimes there's weird hands where you have to go through like here. You have to go here to get here so you can combo off. So you have to like link down, which is odd, but it's powerful enough where you have to keep it. The Conductor, it's 50-50. It's like one of those flex spots. These are not flex spots. More Rhodas. Surprise, surprise. Who knew? Rhoda, your whole deck was good. Because this was a going second build, this comes up more where you just do the funky OTK. If you guys don't know what the OTK is, just get on YouTube. Because me and Fudge can sit here and do this, but he's going to have to edit this video now. And so... Yeah. But going second, you literally just cheese your opponent in OTK. Even if you give them a kaiju, it lets you OTK. So there are situations where you can just kaiju combo, and if you see the space, then just go for the OTK. There's no need to do anything extra if you don't have to. Ensemble Blue Robin. This card is so nice. I want to play 2 just because the follow-up and the recursion is absolutely insane, but you don't need it. If you manage your resources correctly, the game will usually be over with, right? Then you got Downer Than Zeus. I made a 6 material Zeus today.
Feels real good.
So this is a win more card. You can also flex this. I was playing 2 Zeus, and then I just changed my mind at the last second. But you can change some stuff up, like cut the Conductor, and play another Zeus. And of course, you're playing the F-Zero package. So the extra deck isn't anything special. It's just the way you resource manage with this deck wins you a lot more games than anything else. Then our side deck, 3 Droll. This hand trap, this format is probably one of the most powerful. You just win the mirror match. It's not even close. Drytrons are randomly still out here. Even though you almost auto win that matchup going first, going second, having this gives you just enough space where you win the game. And you're playing kaijus anyway, so you're not worried about Herald and you just win the game. These are good in the mirror match, but also good against if you shotgun it against the Flunderies deck because they want their stuff banished so they can get their resource loops going.
Yeah.
So this card is really good against them. I played one of these. This card is really good against Sword Soul. I probably should have played the second one, but you just summon this into their setup with the trap, run over their dude because their trap says you have to target 2 cards on your opponent's field.
Yeah.
If I only have 1, they don't really have any ways to interact with you beforehand without that. So if you play no other cards, you just summon this.
Yeah.
And then you just win that game.
You can just summon it again, too.
This card should probably be banned.
That card's really
I don't
dumb.
know why Azathoth's cards are legal. The only reason why I didn't opt to play 3 in the side was because I was trying for something more toxic against back row decks. But there's like a 90, if you resolve this card going first with full combo, there's like a 90% chance you win that game. Your opponent has to have something super specific. They have to red reboot you. They have to red reboot you, and you have to not have any responses to anything.
Yeah.
But this card's insane. Ban it, Konami, and just leave the rest of the deck alone. Too evenly matched. I don't like back row decks. This is also really good against like decks that the builder board decks mirror match. I think this card is slept on. 2 should be enough. Red reboot, and then I opted for 3 anti-spells and a Dark Samora.
So why'd you do this over the 1 IO, like 2 and then 1 IO?
Well, I play like 25 spells.
That makes sense.
1, and also this wins you most back. Like Ultra Guys can't beat this. It's an easy summon, and a lot of times against back row decks, you're siding out the barrier statue. It's not doing anything in those matchups because those decks are kind of slow. Even against like Eldritch, the barrier statue is good in that matchup specifically, but there's still ways for them to out it. Here with these, you just DPE Striker just scoop. They don't have a way. They don't have a way to play it. They have to try to like Ray Rose plays. But by the time you establish this and the rest of your board, the Ensemble Blue Robin, because your board is just a standard board, but the board that ends. The only difference, like your standard board ends like something like this, and if you have the extra extender, I guess you get the other stuff. You get the Ensemble Blue with the extra material. So your opponent has to be able to outplay you, and it's really hard to outplay this board.
Yeah.
And when you can't Dark Ruler, you have to have the droplets, and it has to be used in your draw phase.
Yeah.
And there's too many specific have-to-have-its. So
That they just have to probably go to game 2.
and because Imperm, Chalice, and stuff like that is like cut off, once you slap this on the board, they're really not coming out.
Yeah.
And it's the easiest way to deal with back row decks. So for me, this is super easy. Now what can happen is that your opponent is playing Goes in Match, and then you lose this card, but they can't say Goes in Match, so we're fine.
Yeah.
So that's the deck profile, guys.
Any shoutouts?
Oh, of course. Shout out to Team Kuribandit. My boy Fudge behind the camera, man. He's been gone for a while, but he's back. We're glad to see you back, brother. Glad you're doing well. Shout out to PPT, baby.
PPT.
You know, shout out to Keith and all those guys over there. Shout out to the shop. Shout out to all my fans. Shout out to all my haters. We're going to keep doing this, man, until I suck at this game. And then I'll hang it up. So we did this for charity today. We hope everybody is doing well for the community. And if you are some of these people receiving help, man, we wish nothing but the best for y'all. Appreciate the deck profile, bro.
Yep. You have a good one.
Sign up.